Joining us now is Paul Dennett, Australian cricket writer and podcaster. David Warner's having a good World Cup, Paul, isn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely is. He's leading the run scoring. A lot of Australians initially were a bit concerned that he might have been scoring a little bit too slowly, but he seems to be working into form very nicely at the right time, and he buys into this current Australian strategy of we're not going to be able to match England and set out to get 400 and play in this gung-ho approach. Let's be a little bit more conservative. And let's say in tournament play, sometimes that's the right way to go. If you've got a 5-match series, sure, you can score 350 plenty of times, and if you get bowled out for 150 once, that doesn't matter. But when the matches really matter, let's be a little bit more conservative.
And in terms of the booing, right, we've had this whole thing from Owen Morgan about he doesn't want to say whether you should or shouldn't boo Warner and Smith, but I can't really think of a single sports person in the world who would enjoy being booed more than David Warner. It just strikes me as the sort of bloke, you sort of get the feeling that he gets his wife to boo him when he gets up in the morning just to get him going. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I think that look, he might not get that much at Lords, because when I've been there, it seems to be rather conservative. I think the first Ashes Test match in Birmingham is where they're really going to cop the booing. But yeah, I think it just galvanises him, and his sense of determination at the moment is at epic levels.
Can I ask? I mean, since the ball tampering issue, I mean, everyone's saying the Aussies have changed. What has changed? Just simply because, Aussies are well known for their competitive edge. And I think we need that. I think, world cricket needs the Australians at their competitive best. So have they really changed? If so, what has changed?
I think from a demeanour approach, it's that Aaron Finch, the one-day captain, and Tim Payne, the test captain, are very mature, sort of intelligent individuals. And I think that they just have realised that Australia had gone too far in the wrong direction. But I think that on the field, Australia are going to be every bit as kind of nasty as ever before. But I also think they sensed that it was counterproductive, that they were getting so much bad press and they were winding up opponents up so much that ultimately, look at the outcome though. We had 2 of our best players suspended for a year, which you can kind of trace through to that bad behaviour. So I think that's where the changes occurred.
Australia are having a good World Cup, aren't they? They've lost less matches than England. I mean, have they got serious aspirations to win the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's amazing. As an Australian cricket fan, it's almost exactly a year ago that England scored 480 and we got less than half of that, and it just seemed as though we were so far off the pace in one-day cricket that what was the point? Now, I think today is the big test. That we've lost to India, which is the other big test so far. The games that Australia have won, they were expected to win. Do they really have what it takes to win the World Cup? I think today is going to provide plenty of those answers.
Yeah, I actually think that, looking at England's schedule, with these 3 big games at the end, I kind of worried about this Australia game from afar because, if it got to this point, because I think Australia have momentum, they've got better game by game, whereas England's somewhat fractured with the defeat. What I wanted to know was, where would this game be won or lost, and will the conditions have, because it's quite overcast, will they play a factor as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's going to be won or lost from an Australian point of view as to how our third fast bowler goes, or our third option goes, because England's powerful batting lineup, I think, will probably show a little bit more respect to the opening pair of Cummins and Stark.
As you would.
But then what will... I beg your pardon?
As you would. I mean, they're excellent, aren't they, those two?
Yeah, they're 2 of the best bowlers in the world, and Stark's dangerous when he comes back on later on as well. So I think that's... and also how England handle the pressure. That if they lose tonight, and if Pakistan beat New Zealand tomorrow, England basically will probably have to beat India and New Zealand in order to qualify for the World Cup. If they don't qualify, having dominated cricket for 4 years, it'll be an unmitigated disaster for them. So the pressure will be absolutely enormous.
Yeah, and we were also talking earlier, and I can't remember who it was, somebody suggested Nathan Lyon perhaps in a game like this with the conditions as they are and the pitch may be turning, the damp, he could come on and cause some damage, could he not?
He could, and if it was up to me, I'd probably pick him. They tend to be very loyal in tournament play. They sort of feel like, let's keep the same side as much as possible. So they potentially could, if they decide to go with 2 spinners, and the only game that's been played at Lords so far, the spinners really kind of did well. So they maybe will omit Nathan Coulter-Nile and bring Nathan Lyon in. But if they go with just the one spinner, I think they'll probably stay loyal to Zampa, who's been their main spinner for the recent times.
And England-Australia, there is nothing like it in cricket. I know we were talking about India and Pakistan, a global audience of a couple of billion or something, but this is England-Australia in the World Cup. I'm assuming the excitement is is at quite high levels.
Yeah, it's certainly building nicely. I think that England and Australia is the one thing that can really ignite cricket in winter in Australia. We've got rugby league and Australian rules absolutely dominating in the same way that football dominates England 365 days of the year. But this game will be shown on terrestrial TV. It's got pretty big build-up on the TV news services. I think there'll be large ratings, and it's going to be the first time that the World Cup will really cut through from the big cricket fans to the wider public.
Yeah, it does. I mean, well, it's interesting you got it on terrestrial TV as well, because we haven't over here, as you probably have heard. Paul, I was going to say enjoy your evening, but I won't say that. But nice to speak to you all the same. Thanks very much, Paul. See you soon. It's Paul Dennett there, Australian cricket writer and podcaster, talking about the England-Australia game, which is happening later on.